Sir, step aside. We're here for her. We have information that she's in this country illegally.
I'm not stepping anywhere. This is my hospital.
Where's your warrant?
We don't need a warrant for immigration enforcement.
You absolutely do need a warrant to enter my facility and detain my staff.
Last warning, move aside or you'll be charged with obstruction.
Where's your warrant? Dr. Michael Sullivan asked the question that would cost IC $11.9 million. The agents had come for Adrienne Hayes, 8-year emergency nurse, Georgia Nurse of the Year, the woman her colleagues called the heart of the ER. They claimed to have information she was in the country illegally. The information was a lie. The nurse was born in Macon, Georgia. Her father had worked at the Macon post office for 35 years. She had degrees from Emory and Georgia State. But Agent Derek Morrison didn't have a warrant, didn't have probable cause, didn't have anything except an anonymous tip and the assumption that a black nurse in scrubs might not belong. Dr. Sullivan, chief medical officer, former Army trauma surgeon, the man who once told a state senator to get out of my ER, positioned himself between the agents and his nurse. This is my hospital. You're not taking anyone without proper legal authority. The security cameras captured everything. The staff gathering behind their CMO. The agents threatening obstruction charges. The moment federal authority met someone who wouldn't bend. $11.9 million. Career destroyed. And a chief medical officer who proved that protecting your people isn't just policy, it's principle. Grady Memorial Hospital never slept. The Level 1 Trauma Center served Atlanta's most critical patients. Gunshot wounds, car accidents, the emergencies that couldn't wait for morning. The emergency department ran on 12-hour shifts, and the overnight crew had seen everything the city could deliver. Adrienne Hayes had worked the 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. shift, 12 hours that had included 3 trauma codes, a pediatric cardiac arrest, and the steady stream of patients that defined emergency medicine at a major urban hospital. The pediatric code had been the hardest. 4-year-old boy, drowning incident. They had worked him for 47 minutes before achieving return of spontaneous circulation. He was upstairs now, in the pediatric ICU, alive because of the team that had refused to stop. Hayes had led that team. Senior charge nurse. 8 years in the emergency department. The certifications that proved her expertise, CEN, TCRN, hung on her wall at home, next to the Georgia Nurse of the Year plaque from 2022. Her scrubs still carried the evidence of the night. The particular exhaustion that came from 12 hours of constant crisis. The satisfaction that came from knowing she had made a difference. Her twins, Zoe and Zara, 6 years old, would be waking up soon at her mother's house. Tuesday mornings meant pancakes and cartoons before the school bus arrived. Hayes would sleep for a few hours, then pick them up, hear about their day, pretend she wasn't exhausted. Single motherhood and emergency nursing required a particular kind of strength. Hayes had found it in the same place her parents had found theirs, in faith, in family, in the knowledge that hard work meant something. Her mother had taught elementary school in Macon for 30 years. Her father had sorted mail at the Macon post office for 35. The Hayes family understood service. They understood showing up. Adrienne had shown up every shift for 8 years. Never late. Never absent without cause. The nurse her colleagues called when cases got complicated, when patients got difficult, when the night seemed like it would never end. The heart of the ER. That's what they called her. Not because she was soft. Emergency nurses couldn't afford softness, but because she cared in ways that patients remembered. She was walking toward the emergency department exit at 6:47 a.m. when she noticed the 2 men approaching. Olive tactical vests, tan cargo pants, black boots, ice insignia visible on their shoulders. They were walking directly toward her. Hayes paused. The automatic doors were 10 feet away. Freedom was 10 feet away. Her car in the parking garage. Her mother's house. Her daughter's. The men stopped in front of her. Adrienne Hayes? Yes. We need you to come with us. Adrienne had shown up every shift for 8 years. Never late. Never absent without cause. The nurse her colleagues called when cases got complicated, when patients got difficult, when the night seemed like it would never end. The heart of the ER. That's what they called her. Not because she was soft. emergency nurses couldn't afford softness, but because she cared in ways that patients remembered. She was walking toward the emergency department exit at 6:47 a.m. when she noticed the two men approaching. Olive tactical vests, tan cargo pants, black boots, ICE insignia visible on their shoulders. They were walking directly toward her. Hayes paused. The automatic doors were 10 feet away. Freedom was 10 feet away. Her car in the parking garage. Her mother's house. Her daughter's. The men stopped in front of her. Adrian Hayes? Yes. We need you to come with us. Chapter 2. The Entrance. 650 words. Agent Derek Morrison positioned himself between Hayes and the exit doors. His partner flanked to the right, the formation that would provide a second angle on everything that followed. Ma'am, we have information that you're in this country illegally. We're going to need you to come with us for processing. Hayes stared at him. The words didn't compute. Couldn't compute. She had just spent 12 hours saving lives in an American hospital. She had been born in an American city. She was as American as the flag flying over the building behind her. Illegally? I was born in Macon, Georgia. That's what we need to verify. Verify. Her voice carried the exhaustion of the shift and the confusion of the accusation. I'm a registered nurse. I work here. I've worked here for 8 years. Employment doesn't prove citizenship. My birth certificate proves citizenship. My nursing license proves citizenship. The background check this hospital conducted when they hired me proves citizenship. Morrison's expression didn't change. The hospital security camera, mounted above the emergency entrance, captured his posture. Aggressive. Certain. Ma'am, we have information. We need to verify your status. Information from who? That's confidential. You're accusing me of being an illegal immigrant based on confidential information? What information? What source? We received a tip. A tip. Hayes let the word hang in the air. Someone called you and said I'm illegal, and you came to my workplace to detain me? Without checking anything first. We're checking now. No, you're not checking. You're detaining. Those are different things. The automatic doors behind Morrison opened. A security guard, Marcus Webb, 15 years at Grady, stepped through. He had been watching the monitors. He had seen the confrontation developing. Ms. Hayes? Everything okay? These agents are claiming I'm an illegal immigrant. Webb's face shifted. He knew Hayes. Everyone at Grady knew Hayes. She had worked on his mother's case 3 years ago. Chest pain that turned out to be a heart attack. Hayes had recognized the signs, called the code, saved her life. That's not possible. She's been here for years. Sir, this is a federal matter. She saved my mother's life. She's not illegal anything. Step back, sir. Webb didn't step back. He pulled out his radio. Security to emergency entrance. We have a situation. ICE agents attempting to detain staff. Morrison's face flushed. Sir, interfering with federal officers is a crime. I'm not interfering. I'm documenting. And I'm calling for backup. We don't need your backup. We need this woman to come with us. She's not going anywhere until someone with authority tells me what's happening. The radio crackled. Voices responding. Security personnel moving toward the entrance. And somewhere in the hospital, Dr. Michael Sullivan's phone buzzed with an urgent message. CMO to emergency entrance immediately. ICE attempting to detain Hayes. Sullivan was out of his office in 15 seconds. The elevator would take too long. He took the stairs, 4 flights, the same stairs he had run during his trauma surgery days when seconds meant survival. He pushed through the stairwell door on the ground floor. He could see the entrance from here. The agents, Hayes in her scrubs, Webb blocking the path. He had spent 35 years in medicine. He had operated in Army field hospitals during Desert Storm, under fire, with inadequate supplies, on soldiers who should have died. He had built a career on protecting people. He wasn't about to stop now. The automatic doors opened as he approached. The Atlanta morning light spilled into the corridor. What exactly is happening here? Dr. Michael Sullivan stepped through the emergency entrance with the authority of someone who had commanded medical teams in war zones. 61 years old. Silver hair cropped short. White coat over a charcoal blazer and black slacks. The presence that had made surgeons, senators, and now federal agents reconsider their choices. I asked a question. What is happening here? Morrison turned. He saw the white coat, the chief medical officer badge, the expression that had survived Desert Storm and 3 decades of hospital politics. Sir, this is a federal matter. We're here for her. He gestured toward Hayes. We have information that she's in this country illegally. Sullivan positioned himself between Morrison and Hayes. The movement was deliberate, a physical barrier that the security cameras captured clearly. Information from whom? That's confidential. You're attempting to detain my staff member based on confidential information. What's your legal authority? ICE has broad authority to enforce immigration law. Do you have a warrant? The question landed in the hospital corridor like a surgical instrument. Precise, unavoidable. We don't need a warrant for immigration enforcement. You absolutely do need a warrant to enter my facility and detain my staff. Sir, this is Grady Memorial Hospital. It is a healthcare facility. Under Georgia law and federal regulations, you cannot conduct enforcement operations inside a healthcare facility without a judicial warrant. Do you have one? Morrison's face shifted. The certainty flickered. We have authority to detain individuals suspected of immigration violations. On the street, at the border, in locations where you have jurisdiction. This is a hospital. My hospital. And I'm asking you again, do you have a warrant? I don't need. Yes or no? Do you have a warrant authorizing you to enter this facility and detain Adrian Hayes? Silence. I'll take that as no. Sullivan turned slightly to address Hayes without moving from his protective position. Adrian, you don't have to go anywhere with these men. They have no legal authority to detain you without a warrant. Sir, you're interfering with federal officers. I'm exercising my authority as chief medical officer to protect my staff from unlawful detention. There's a difference. He turned back to Morrison. I've been running hospitals for 12 years. Before that, I spent 23 years as a trauma surgeon, including tours in Army field hospitals during Desert Storm. I've faced down situations that would give you nightmares. You don't intimidate me. We're not trying to intimidate. You showed up at my hospital at 6:47 a.m. to drag one of my nurses away based on anonymous information you refused to disclose. Without a warrant. Without probable cause. Without any of the legal protections that American citizens are entitled to. He stepped closer to Morrison. Adrian Hayes was born in Macon, Georgia. Her father worked at the post office for 35 years. She has degrees from Emory University and Georgia State. She has been a registered nurse at this hospital for 8 years. She was just named Georgia Nurse of the Year. His voice dropped. And you're trying to drag her away like a criminal because someone made a phone call. That's not enforcement. That's harassment. Morrison's partner had retreated slightly. His bodycam captured his face, the doubt that his colleague refused to acknowledge. Sir, we have our orders. Your orders don't supersede the Constitution. Your orders don't supersede hospital policy. Your orders don't supersede basic human decency. Behind Sullivan, staff had begun gathering. Nurses emerging from the department. Doctors pausing in the corridor. The people who kept the emergency department running through every crisis. They were watching. They were documenting. And they were standing behind their CMO. The staff of Grady Memorial's emergency department formed a line behind Dr. Sullivan. Not organized. Not planned. Simply the organic response of people who recognized injustice and refused to stand silent. Dr. James Chun, emergency physician, 12 years at Grady. He had worked beside Hayes on the pediatric code just hours ago. Nurse practitioner Keisha Williams, who had trained under Hayes when she first joined the department. Respiratory therapist Miguel Santos, who had seen Hayes talk a panicking asthma patient through a crisis with nothing but her voice and her presence. Paramedic Sarah Mitchell, who had brought countless patients through those doors and watched Hayes receive every one with the same competence and compassion. 15 people. Then 20. The corridor filling with medical professionals who knew Adrian Hayes, who had worked beside her, who understood exactly what was happening. Sir, step aside. We're here for her. Morrison's voice had hardened. His patience was ending. His hand moved toward his belt, toward the handcuffs that hung there. I'm not stepping anywhere. This is my hospital. Where's your warrant? The question came from Dr. Chun, repeated from behind Sullivan. The same words. The same demand. Where's your warrant? Nurse Williams. Echoing. Where's your warrant? The phrase rippled through the gathering staff. A chorus of healthcare workers who had spent their careers protecting people, who understood that protection sometimes meant standing in the way of power. We don't need a warrant for immigration enforcement. You need a warrant to enter this facility. Sullivan's voice cut through the chorus. This is a healthcare institution. We have patients inside who are protected by privacy laws. We have staff who are protected by labor laws. You cannot simply walk in here and take people. Sir, last warning. Move aside or you'll be charged with obstruction. Obstruction of what? You have no warrant. You have no probable cause. You have an anonymous tip about a woman who was born in Georgia, educated in Georgia, and has served this hospital for 8 years. He stood his ground. I've faced down insurgent fire in Iraq. I've operated on soldiers while mortars landed outside the tent. You think the threat of obstruction charges is going to make me abandon my staff? Morrison reached for his handcuffs. You're being detained for interfering with federal officers. Then you'll have to detain all of us. Dr. Chin stepped forward. Beside Sullivan, shoulder to shoulder. You'll have to detain me too. Nurse Williams stepped forward. And me? Santos. Mitchell. Others whose names would later fill the witness list. 23 medical professionals stood between Morrison and Hayes. 23 people who had chosen healthcare because they believed in protecting others. 23 witnesses with phones raised, documenting everything. Morrison's partner had gone pale. Derek, we should call this in. This isn't. We're not equipped for this. Shut up. There are 20 people recording us. This is going to be everywhere. I said shut up. Sullivan watched the exchange. The fracture between the partners. The doubt that was finally breaking through the certainty. Agent Morrison, I'm going to give you one opportunity to end this without consequences. Leave this hospital. Verify your information through proper channels. If you have legitimate cause to investigate Adrian Hayes, come back with a warrant signed by a federal judge. I don't need a judge's permission. In America, you do? That's how this works. That's how it's always worked. He held out his hand. I'm Dr. Michael Sullivan, Chief Medical Officer. 35 years of service to medicine. And I'm telling you, as someone who has never backed down from a fight in my entire career, you will not take my nurse. Morrison stared at the hand, at the staff behind him, at the cameras recording from every angle. Then he reached past Sullivan. Morrison's hand closed around Hayes' arm before Sullivan could block him. The grab was aggressive, the grip of someone who had decided that force would succeed where authority had failed. You're coming with me, Hayes cried out. Not from pain, from shock. The sudden violence after the long negotiation. The hand on her arm pulling her forward. Sullivan moved instantly. 35 years of surgical precision applied to a different kind of intervention. His hand closed around Morrison's wrist. Let go of her. You're obstructing. You're assaulting a healthcare worker. In a hospital. Without a warrant. Let go. The security camera captured the moment. Morrison's hand on Hayes' arm. Sullivan's hand on Morrison's wrist. The physical confrontation that transformed a civil rights violation into assault. Morrison pulled Hayes toward him. Sullivan held firm. Let go of her right now. She's coming with us. She's not going anywhere. You have no legal authority. You have no warrant. You have no right to put your hands on my staff. The staff behind Sullivan surged forward. Not to attack, to document, to witness, to ensure that whatever happened next would be seen by everyone. Dr. Chin's phone captured Morrison's face, the particular expression of someone whose control was slipping. Nurse Williams's phone captured Hayes, her arm in Morrison's grip, her face showing the fear that 8 years of emergency nursing hadn't prepared her for. Security guard Webb was on his radio. We need Atlanta police at emergency entrance. Federal agents assaulting staff. Repeat, federal agents assaulting staff. Morrison's partner had stopped trying to help. He stood frozen, the posture of someone watching his career collapse in real time. Derek, let her go. This isn't worth it. Shut up. Look around. 20 cameras. 30 witnesses. Atlanta PD is coming. Let her go. She's an illegal. She's a citizen. Look at her badge. Look at her credentials. She works here. The partner's voice cracked with desperation. Let her go before this gets worse. Sullivan spoke directly to Morrison. His voice had dropped to the register he used in operating rooms. Calm. Absolute. The voice that commanded life and death. Agent Morrison, you are assaulting a registered nurse who has committed no crime. You are doing so without a warrant, without probable cause, and in violation of this facility's status as a protected healthcare institution. He tightened his grip on Morrison's wrist. If you don't release her in the next 5 seconds, I will personally ensure that you face federal charges, civil liability, and the end of your career. You can't threaten. I'm not threatening. I'm informing. 5. Morrison's grip remained. 4. The staff pressed closer. 3.